Mark. Without taking much of your time, so we would like to call on our next speaker to discuss the cold storage turnkey solutions. Please welcome the Associate Director of Best World Engineering, Sendrian Berhad, Mr. Yu Song Yu.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. It's very nice to see some familiar faces here. After almost like 3 years without such a gathering. So let me introduce myself. My name is Song. I'm from Malaysia. So our business, our company, have presence in Malaysia, our headquarters, and in Indonesia and in the Philippines. Having presence in these 3 countries, one of the most asked questions to me, especially to me, is Song, I have this lot size, and then I want to build a cold storage of how many pallets position? Or let's say the customer will ask, Song, I have this lot size, I would like to produce how many tons of sausage, how many tons of nuggets in a day. So you help me to think of the rest. I don't want to know that much. So that's where we come in. So without further ado, we will see a short video of our company presentation and solution. This is one of the projects that show how we design the entire plant for our customers. Then what scope we include, the panels, refrigeration, the automated packaging system, all together. as you can see, this is just one of the example to show how exactly do we plan for our customers in terms of total solution, in terms of the civil works, equipment, automation. So the customer can very easily know whether is there any equipment that is missing, and then how much space available there is. So in terms of the capacity planning, all this will be available for the long term. So other than that, we will look into one quick case study to show an example like how do we actually plan for our customers. So in this case study, we will show a lot size of about 70 meters by 50 meters. So we will compare between two types of racking system. So the customer might want to ask, how do I increase my pallet position? Just one case study. Okay. The first case study is the double dip racking system. This is the most conventional type of racking system. I'm sure everyone is very familiar. So the next comparison, please. Yeah. This is the shuttle racking orbiter, where it's semi-automated racking system using one shuttle orbiter to carry the pallets from the first pallets to the last pallets of the racking system. Okay. So as you can see, the number of rooms are reduced. Okay, and then this enables the customer's operation to do first in, first out also. Okay, so other than this, on each side of the room, we also incorporate the selective racking system in order for customers to do staging easily. Okay, so next please. Just some photos of these two types of racking system. With a similar lot size, you can see the comparison later. For the double dip racking, we will design a 5-level height, considering an 11 meters internal room height. Okay, with the same with the same internal room height, we are able to do 5 levels of shuttle racking system due to the structure of the system itself. Okay, next please. Okay, so comparing these two types of racking system, you can see that for the shuttle plus selective obviously have about 14% more than the double dip racking system configuration. However, you might ask, how about the investment cost? So we can look at the price per pallet and racking cost. The shuttle tends to be about 30% higher than the conventional double dip type of racking. And then there's also the shuttle car orbiter investment cost. And if only looking at the racking itself, you might say, oh, shuttle racking is so expensive to invest in. Even though it offers a 14% increase, does it make sense to invest in shuttle racking system? So what we tend to do is we will do the comparison analysis based on the total all-rounded point of view. So for the forklift cost, for the double dip racking, it tends to be higher, about 70%. Okay, so the total cost for the racking and forklift itself, the shuttle and selective option is still higher by about 23%. But if you divide it down to per pallet cost, it will be around 10% higher. Okay, next please. However, with our expertise, we will compute all the others price together to allow our customer to see in the total more overall point of view. If you incorporate the panel and door cost, which is having more quantity in the double dip system, it's about 30% higher. The same goes to unit coolers and the valve station. Because you have more aisles and then you need to have more unit coolers. So it turns out the initial investment for the double dip racking will be higher by about 8%. If you divide it down to per pallet position, it is about 20% higher. We are just talking about the initial investment cost. Okay, next please. Yeah, you might want to configure for 5 years operation cost also by considering the labor cost and maintenance cost. Considering all this, the cost per pallet for double dip is still higher because the maintenance cost is so minimal compared to the investment cost. So, not to mention the power consumption based on the number of compressors we need for the shuttle and selective system is still lower for the long term. So this, I think, next this this is not to show that, don't get me wrong, this is not to show that the shuttle racking system is superior to the WTPs. Just to show that we have to take a long-term overall point of view in order to make the correct decision in terms of the investment. So, of course, each racking system has its own unique advantage and disadvantage. It comes down to what do the customers need and the operation need. So, next please. So, in short, it's important to look at the investment planning, do it right the first time, and then to avoid all the reworks, to avoid all the inefficiency, and then with our involvement in the design, hopefully we can help to solve this problem. Okay, with this, I will end my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir, for another informative and impressive video presentation. Our last but definitely not the least speaker joined Manila's Office of Agricultural Affairs in July 2019, where he serves as the principal officer responsible for coordinating the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, policies and activities. He holds a master's degree in economics with an emphasis in agricultural economics from the South Dakota State University. He'd been to 19 provinces in Luzon and the Visayas while becoming a certified scuba diver and kiteboarder. And recently, he visited Mindanao, particularly Davao, Bukidnon, and General Santos City. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to present to you to share his agricultural insights. A round of applause to the USDA Foreign Affairs Service Agriculture Counselor, Mr. Morgan Haas.
I admit I'm a little surprised by that introduction. I don't think my colleague and our wonderful agricultural specialist Florence Delia had cleared that with me. It's like quite so colorful explanation of who I am and what I've managed to achieve during the COVID lockdown. It is more fun in the Philippines. So, I want to start today, and I apologize, I'm just starting to recover my voice. I lost it the last couple of days, and I tried to save putting off a couple meetings the last 2 days so I could join you here today. But I want to start with a couple numbers. There are 1 billion, 1/3, 1/3, and 3/4. 1 billion is the number of people that may go hungry in this world by the year 2050 because of the impacts of climate change and the impacts that's going to have on our agricultural and food supply chains. 1/3. 1/3 is effectively our losses through the supply chain because we don't have enough cold chain to preserve the food that we're producing. 1/3, another 1/3. The other 1/3 is the amount of emissions that are given off by the production of agricultural food systems. So if we could just save what we have, we could save the planet and we could save each other from going hungry. There's a bonus, and I don't think it's yet incorporated into the Philippines nationally determined contributions that it's put together. But it's a great opportunity. Think about the contributions cold chain can play in helping the Philippines achieve its NDC objectives of cutting emissions by 75% by 2030 through more investment in that supply chain. It is perhaps one of the greatest opportunities that nobody's really thinking about and taking credit for. The great work that you've already done and are continuing to do. But with that, let me take you a little bit through memory lane. First, congratulations on your 20th anniversary, Tony. And all the members here that have come obviously made this a very successful 20 years, and that's why we're here. So as some of you may know, probably better than I, because before I arrived, but beginning in 1998 with the Cold Chain Improvement Initiative, a program funded by the USDA's Emerging Markets Program, in the United States committed to the development of cold chain in the Philippines. As an immediate result of this program, a group of experts traveled to Manila in 2001 to recommend the best path forward to help establish a local association capable of advocating on behalf of cold chain interests with the Philippine government and concerned industries. Upon its creation in 2002, that association came to be known as the Cold Chain Association of the Philippines. In the years that followed, CCAP emerged as an important and influential voice. Making the case for cold chain has taken time. We're still working on it. But the progress has been made. Through other USDA capacity building programs like the Cochrane Fellowship Program, we were pleased to earlier partner with you and local pork producers, in fact, to slowly but surely shift attitudes and acceptance towards frozen products. It's taking a long time. Certainly the COVID, the disaster, the pain, and the crisis that it was. But what happens in crisis? Crisis creates opportunity, and oftentimes business solutions, innovation, and forces consumer habits to change. So they are becoming more familiar with your product that you are servicing. Absolutely. But of course, they're not just more familiar with it, they're more accepting of it, of frozen foods. And why is that? Because I think now that people have got to understand it a little better, I think there is as well greater recognition that it is safer, fresher, and more nutritious than meat or other produce, dairy products that lack cold chain. Since 2019, African swine fever, lockdowns, and seemingly endless supply chain issues, we're still going through them, have proved to be a catalyst in changing these habits and increasing recognition that cold chain remains underdeveloped. In 2022, we are proud to sponsor another Cochrane Fellowship program to send another group of cold chain stakeholders to the United States for further exposure and study supply chain, cold chain, and logistics activities. As CCAP members continue to expand cold store capacity from only roughly 50,000 metric tons back in 1998, put that tenfold, you're at 500,000 metric tons today. U.S. products, along with others, look forward to being steadfast users of your services. We won't use anything but cold chain to improve our shared values for improving the food security and trade facilitation. Meanwhile, the need and opportunity for further expansion remain significant, and still only a fraction of perishable food products in the Philippines are properly handled via cold chain. As food costs continue to climb and climb and climb and climb, CCAP is well positioned to advise the incoming administration on solutions, including how to increase food supply by reducing food waste. Should the government prioritize cold chain infrastructure to extend shelf life and perhaps remove needless, unnecessary, burdensome requirements that would otherwise throw quality product away? Eliminating food waste would also greatly contribute to the Philippines reducing its greenhouse gas emissions, as I mentioned at the start. Meanwhile, CCAP's fierce advocacy and successful advocacy is in the regulatory decision-making process, particularly in cases where regulations are enacted without proper public consultation, as required by the Ease of Doing Business Act. In fact, where they've helped without proper consultation and lack the mandated regulatory impact assessments has been and will remain of immeasurable value to ensure fair trade practices and consumer welfare. We further look forward to your partnership and support in the execution of USDA's Food for Progress funded program, Be Safe. It's called Building Safe Agricultural Food Enterprises. Maybe you've heard of it. If you haven't, I'm here to tell you we're here. we're dumping in another $1.4 million to strengthen these cold chain that you have here. That's the U.S. commitment to building a safe Philippines. As we look ahead to another 20 years of partnership, we see CCAP's role and importance undoubtedly only growing, and increasingly greater emphasis is placed on improving food safety, preserving quality, reducing waste, protecting our environment, and ultimately building a more resilient Philippine food system that further enables suppliers to extend marketing seasons and the country to manage future supply disruptions so that we don't have to go through what we've been dealing with in the last 2 years. Congratulations and thank you for your partnership.
Thank you, Morgan. May we request you to remain on stage, please? And may we call on CCAP Director Mar Marantan to hand over the token of appreciation to Mr. Morgan.
So moving on to the last part of our program. Again, we would like to thank our dear speakers for today. But before we end this afternoon, please help me welcome back on stage our very own CCAP President, Mr. Anthony Dizon, for the synopsis of this afternoon's event and his closing remarks.
Boy, it hasn't been a long day, but it sure feels like it. Must be the getting old. But despite that, in summary, our discussions today have defined the important building blocks that could serve as the framework for a more comprehensive agriculture development program. The Board of Investments has sought to create an attractive investment climate for new ventures under the Strategic Investment Priorities Program. Our friends from TITRA have provided insights into how technology and good management practice can enhance agricultural productivity and presented opportunities for business partnership. The ASEAN Roadmap for Processed Pork is a work in progress, given that we are still in recovery mode from ASF. I take heart in Morgan's pronouncements on the value of the cold chain in food sufficiency and its contribution to environmental preservation. We hope that our industry can spot the opportunity in the crisis that we are confronted with now. Hopefully, the information sharing today can generate momentum towards our aspirations for a food-sufficient and food-secure Philippines. For this, I would like to convey the sincere appreciation of CCAP to our speakers at today's event. Thank you to Mr. Morgan Haas of the USDA Manila office, who summoned the energy to come despite his personal limitations. The Governor March Ramos Samaniego, BOI, Malang March, she left earlier, but just the same, Diyos ti Agnina, sapay kuma nga may tuloy tayo, tagito'y kayat tayo nga marami. To our newfound friends from TITRA, Alex and Josephine from TECO, Sheseni. I hope we will get the opportunity to visit the Taiwan Cold Chain Show in August, if circumstances permit. And to Professor Noreen and the ATMI team, maraming salamat po. I would also like to express my personal thanks to our major sponsors, AEB, Westworld, Santiens, and Sason B. Solar. Thank you also to our members who have contributed in large measure to the success of today's event by way of their advertisements in the souvenir program. Thank you to the representatives from media who are with us today. Sana maparating nyo sa kinauukulan ang kahandaan ng CCAP na magpagtulungan sa ating nagkakaisang hangarin na paunlarin ang industriya ng agrikultura sa Pilipinas. Thank you to Agnes and Mark for having volunteered to co-host today's proceedings. Sana naman hindi kayo ma-discover ng media network. Baka mahirapan CCAP pumanap ng kapalit ninyo kung maagaw kayo. Special mention, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the CCAP Secretariat. Tito George, the ladies and gentlemen who have devoted their time, energy, and ideas to ensure that the CCAP legacy will continue to be enhanced over time. May we please call on them to come in and be recognized. Let's start with Josine. Alam niyo namang lahat siguro, karamihan sa inyo alam na yan ang tunay na boss ng CCAP. Josine, please. Pao. Can you ask them to come in? Suzette. Front and center, please. Marivic, Beng, Agnes, Apple, Rihanna, Tito George, si Jeremy, and Jake Bataring, our technical person. A well-deserved round of applause. But I understand that there's a little secret plan going around. And this deserves a special moment in today's event. Apol?
To our dearest Josine, thank you so much for the diligence, the dedication, and the labor of love you have done for CCAP, which is CCAP, through the past 20 years. There is no doubt that the successes that CCAP has managed to achieve are longly attributed to your kakulitan, kasungitan, at katarayan. Please accept this token of appreciation from your CCAP family. We look forward to the next 20 years from all of us.
Open naman. Open naman. last but definitely not least, to all our CCAP members, maraming salamat sa inyong patuloy at mainit na suporta. Sana po ay patuloy din nating maitaguyod ang ating mga adhikain, our advocacies for food safety, food sufficiency, food security. To those who have joined us for the first time, we trust that you have found the proceedings relevant and useful, and we look forward to having you with us again in future CCAP activities. Much as we would like to plan ahead for our next annual conference, we are constrained from doing so, as we cannot confidently assure ourselves that we shall be guided by safety protocols in our endeavor to promote food chain development in other parts of the country. But rest assured that we will keep you advised of developments as we are able to plan for next year's CCAP conference. On that note, I officially close today's event. Maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat.
One last admin announcement. For those who will not be joining the fellowship, may we request you to please return the badge to the Secretariat to be able to claim your 20th anniversary shirt and the USB of the copy of the presentations in the USB. Thank you.